It's your summer. What the bird is barbecuing.
G'day jabronis, it is TheVerd back with you again, and welcome to our Week 5 prep for the NPL Miners. Tampa Bay Frogadiers currently 4-0 up against the AS Rowlets, who are currently 3-1, coached by Eric or Ashton Akai. So doing really well. This channel will obviously be in the description. So basically this game is an important one for sure. Basically the main thing about this game is that if we win it, there are a few ramifications. Now because Mono lost last week and Rob Jr. lost this week, it means that, or spoilers if you haven't watched this game, but it basically means now if we win this game against Eric, we will not only be the only unbeaten team in the entire league, but we will also be the first team to clinch a playoff spot. And that is huge. That is huge news. That's something I really want to do because getting in playoffs gives me a really good chance of making it into majors. So, by far, that is the biggest priority, is winning this match, getting ourselves into majors. But to do that, we're going to have to get through Eric's team, and it's a very good team, as you can see down there. So, I've designed a pretty cool team, I'm not going to lie. It's a bit different from what I normally maybe build, but I kind of like it. It's cool. It's cool. So we're going to break down the team. If you guys are excited for this, like this video, subscribe, all that good stuff. But we are going to smash into this. So basically, first up, we have my boy Shibata, the Toxapex. Now, I've used Toxapex enough now that you should know, like, it's just an amazing Pokemon in general. I've got a pretty cool set lined up for it this week. I feel like it's a really strong set against my opponent just because of the things it can do. So basically, rocking the moveset, I guess. So Surf is actually there with that much special attack investment because that means that a max HP Gengar cannot set up a sub against me. I do not want to deal with sub Gengars today. Not something I want to see at all. If he does try and do it, I can easily beat it. I can also just go for that move. Potentially might go for a taunt, so I can just play around that. But also, the reason why Pex is really nice in this team is that it can deal with Gengar just as well as things like Muck and Celesteela could, just because of the fact that Gengar can't really hit like super hard on especially defensive side because of the amazing bulk that I already have on there. So that's really good. The defense investment is basically there so that this thing is pretty much my hard check to things like Arcanine, Mega Blastoise, and also the big thing is it can deal with Garchomp coming in. So obviously, I feel Eric will obviously bring a Garchomp this week. Garchomp makes so much sense to bring against my team. There's literally no reason for him not to bring it. And I am bringing a Shukaberry on my Toxapex. The reason for this is because I can take a +2 EQ. I will not be able to take a +2 Z move EQ, but I can use other mons on my team, such as my Alola Muck, to scout for that earlier in the game. Plus, I do have Celesteela that can come in if I needed to in some situations. And with the Shukaberry, I can take the hit. And the big thing is I can go for an Ice Beam. Now, Ice Beam from just 48 special attack invested, Toxapex will do about 53 min to Garchomp. And now there are a few other things on my team that can do enough chip to the point where that means that Garchomp is dead. Or basically what this means is that Pex can get off the damage I need against Garchomp to basically allow other mons to revenge it or kill it. That's the big thing about Garchomp in this matchup is he can run the SD, which is scary obviously to set up against my team, but the other thing is he could run a Scarf set. So this allows my Toxapex to take a Scarfed EQ and then another EQ after that and knock out Garchomp by itself. Basically allowing my Toxapex to solo Garchomp. I feel like maybe he might bring a Lumberry Garchomp, which is why I have the Ice Beam there to kind of cover that, but regardless, this is the set we're going with. Toxic and Recover is basically just filler. I was tempted to tech on Sludge Wave over Toxic, just because then it would hit Shaman, but I have, I have a lot of things that come in on Shaman on my team, so I feel like it's not ridiculously necessary. Plus, Toxic is just a really nice move to have in general, to wear down a lot of his mons. Obviously, things like Blastoise and that, the recover is pretty much straightforward. But yeah, moving on, we have a Suzuki Gun here, the Celesteela. I've been really using Celesteela more because I'm slowly getting the hang of using it now, and this set's really solid. Again, for my opponent's team, I was very tempted to run Okaberry because I feel like having this thing take a hit from Arcanine, taking a hit from potentially SD Garchomp could be really nice, but at the same time, because I have 2 water types on my team, I really am not threatened that much by Arcanine, and I feel like I already deal with Garchomp quite well with the combination of Toxapex, if it is Scarfed, and then the fact that I have other things that can outspeed it, if it isn't. So basically I decided I'm going to bring the Celesteela in a way that it can deal with some other threats. So basically this thing is designed to come in against the Sylveon, against the Shaman, against a lot of other things on this team. It's just basically just covering most of Toxapex's issues here. Leech plus Protect Leech Seed in general is really good against this team, mainly because his main Celesteela switcher might be Skarmory, but he has to be tentative about that because obviously Celesteela can be packing Flamethrower. So definitely want to kind of scare Skarm with that potential. And Leech Seed, regardless, is a really good way to chip my opponent's team, get health back to my other mons. Heavy Slam is there because it just genuinely damages like most of my opponent's team incredibly hard. And then EQ is just there as a filler move. It hurts some other stuff on his team, potentially. It just chips through a lot of his team. Celesteela doesn't really do like a lot of huge jobs, but it can basically come in against a lot of his threats, shut down some other ones, and just be a very solid mod in general. Definitely really important paired with Toxapex. Obviously both of them are weak to electric. It's the only real hole in the team, but fortunately, as you can see from my team, I have two ways to deal with electric types, being not only my Seismitoad, but my Sceptile having lightning rods. So if he brings Jolteon, so be it. We'll have to play around it. I initially had this Muck as an Assault Vest set, but after some thinking and some working out of plans, I decided to go with this set in the end. Now, first and foremost, Banded Muck is a monster. Some of these calcs are insane. Like I was talking about before with Toxapex, how it does 53% min with its Ice Beam. My Alolan Muck can go for a knockoff, and if Garchomp tries to come in against it, and it's an offensive Garchomp, Banded knockoff to Garchomp, even if it has the Z Crystal, is going to be doing like it does a ridiculous amount of damage, just to say the least. It to no item Garchomp, it is doing almost half, which basically puts it into Pex range. If it does have an item, it's doing like 62 to 70. It's ridiculous damage. I have Shadow Sneak on there to basically prevent Destiny Bond Gengar from being a thing, and also just late game picking up some kills. I have Poison Jab over Gunk Shot because a lot of the things that I want to hit with Gunk Shot, I don't really want to miss against, and also like Poison Jab does the same amount. Plus, with Poison Touch plus Poison Jab, I have a 60% chance of poisoning my opponent. So that's kind of nice. And then Pursuit is just there because if the Jolteon, for instance, comes in and maybe I sack off my Celesteela as he goes for a Thunderbolt, I can go into Muck, take any hit, go for Banded Pursuit, and Jolteon's basically going to die. I don't really expect Jolteon in this matchup, but regardless, I have it here. I'm going to be careful of obviously Gengar because Willow and Destiny Bond are two annoying moves. Fortunately, that is why I have Toxapex, and that's why I have the Shadow Sneak. Banded Sneak will do an absolute ton to Gengar, so both of those are really solid. But offensively speaking, it's insane. The calc that I want to talk about the most is the reason why you see a 168 speed investment. So this Muck is designed to outspeed a Skarmory, and that is because I feel in this matchup, with the team that I have, not just with the team you see of 6, but my entire roster, Spadef Skarm is the best Skarm he can bring. I think defensive Sylveon makes more sense because you can take the special attacks from Sceptile and the physical attacks, so either way you're kind of dealing with it there. And specially defensive Skarmory can take the physical attacks from Sceptile and the special attacks, while also being able to deal with Flamethrower from Celesteela, Fire Blast from Muck, as well as dealing with things like my Florges, my Mew, things like that. Just a lot of elements that he can deal with, which is why this Banded Muck could be huge, because if he does run a very specially defensive Skarmory, then after Rock's damage, my Banded knockoff is a very good chance to 2-hit KO a specially defensive Skarmory set. That's massive. From that damage, that is huge, big stuff. Like, that is really, really important for me, because Skarm is annoying. I didn't bring Komala, so I don't really have a way to stop him from spike stacking and all that on me, but I think at the same time, because of the general offense of my team, I don't know if he's going to bring Skarm, because like Sylveon does basically everything Skarm could do to wall a lot of my team, so I don't know if he's going to bring it or not. In the mocks, nobody really brought Skarmory, but I need a contingency plan just in case, and this is my first one. The second part of the contingency plan is the debuting Rob Van Dam. Alright, so RVD making his debut here with the Frog Splash, obviously. And this set is really good. Like, I initially wasn't using this set, put it on after some suggestions from people, and my god. Yeah, Adam the Bee's Knees was the guy who suggested this, and then I kind of perfected the set. But basically, the premise of this set is I can come in against Skarm. Skarm can be like, oh, well, I'm a Skarmory, you can't do shit. But then he might be like, oh, well, god, this is maybe an especially offensive thing, so I'm going to go with my Sylveon. He goes into Sylveon, I get up my Rocks. Now, if he's going to bring Skarm, that means that he isn't bringing Defog if he's bringing Spike Stack. So I can set up my Rocks, be pretty safe with that, and then that, like I said in my earlier thing, puts him in range of the Alolan Muck knockoff situation. Fantastic. Next up, the fact that if he brings a physically defensive Sylveon, which I kind of expect him to bring, it doesn't really make much sense to bring specially defensive. My Life Orb Sludge Wave does a clean amount of damage to the Sylveon. It's ridiculous. I only really need Surf and Sludge Wave because obviously I have my Toxapex as well as my Mega Sceptile to kind of deal with the Mega Blastoise. Not really too worried about that mon in general. And I felt that Surf plus Ultra just hits everything on his team really hard, really well. Rain Dance is great with Swift Swim. I was tempted over Life Orb to run Damp Rock, but I don't need a ridiculous amount of turns when it comes to Rain. I can hit his team incredibly hard. Rocks are just so important, and that coverage just blitzes through a lot of his team. I can still be a really good check to Jolteon because I have a ridiculous amount of HP. I can also take a lot of hits. For instance, I can Rain Dance up as Sylveon comes in, go for a Sludge Wave on the potential Wish, and then like be able to 1v1 the Sylveon from there because I'm doing over half. He can't really recover up. Like I'd be taking Life Orb, but at the same time I'm 1v1ing the Sylveon. That's a huge factor. But yeah, the Seismitoad's really good. It punches holes. Like Spadef Scarm still takes like 62% min from Surf, so that's awesome. I was going to run Hydro, but Surf is just so much safer and does more work. But moving on to a guy who I've been using lately, and I've been showing people that Mega Sceptile in format is freaking terrifying, and I'm going to try and prove it once again. Kenny Omega the Cleaner, he's back again, and this set is really good. In my mocks, this has been probably my most successful set that I've used so far. The reason being is Leaf Storm is a fantastic lure. Dragon Pulse is obviously just a filler move to hit mons, but Leaf Storm is so good against Sylveon. Basically, the combination, if it's a physical, basically doesn't matter what Sylveon set it is. Leaf Storm plus Iron Tail after Sylveon has taken Leech Seed or has taken Rocks damage, pretty much will always kill it. That is huge. I have the attack and the special attack investment to basically where I can chip either form of Sylveon and wear it down. Leech Seed is massive because his best switch-ins to my Sceptile are Sylveon plus Skarmory, 2 mons that I can easily Leech Seed against. Yes, he could bring a Spadef, what's it called? Yeah, a Spadef Shaman, but I have an Alolan Muck and a Celesteela. I am ready for that Shaman. I can deal with that Shaman all day. Banded Poison Jab says I can deal with that Shaman all day, so not really too worried about that set. Also, I just feel like Shaman just isn't great in the matchup. I don't know. When you're up against a guy that has Celesteela plus Alolan Muck, just Shaman doesn't seem that favorable, but maybe that's just me. But this set is great. Honestly, it's just such a good lure set. Leaf Storm is amazing because against things that aren't Skarm and Sylveon, it's just punching through them so hard. And then Iron Tail is a filler move. I initially had Protect over it as a scouting just way of healing, but Iron Tail now, what I've been noticing is that Sylveon comes in, tries to Wish Pass out to other mons, and since it stays weak, I can just go straight for that Leaf Storm to basically put it in range of my Iron Tail. Him staying in, maybe thinking, well, Leaf Storm doesn't kill me, it's all he been going for, maybe I'll be fine, and I can just drop the Iron Tail. Yes, there is the 25% chance that I'll miss. It is a risk I have to take, unfortunately, in this situation, because getting rid of Sylveon is massive. That opens doors, especially for my last mon, Daddy Brolic returns. He's back again with the Choice Scarf, and the reason for it is because, like I was talking about, he does have the Sylveon, but Sylveon is basically his only realistic Buzzwole check. Obviously, he has a Mesprit, but at the same time, like Scarf Leech Life just doesn't care about Mesprit. Plus, I have a Banded Alolan Muck that can just trap and absolutely annihilate Mesprit at the same time. So, overall, like, it's just, I have so many ways to crush it, and like this thing is just such a good late game cleaner. I initially had Earthquake on it, but I decided to drop it for Leech Life because I want a good way to hit Mesprit if I need to. Plus, as a general good stab move, it's better than Superpower, because Superpower obviously lowering my stats is not great, whereas Leech Life can just be a really good way to heal myself as well if I need to. Basically, this thing can also come in at certain times. For instance, I really like when it comes in against Garchomp. If, you know, Pex has just taken the EQ and he probably is going to go for another EQ to try and kill me, I can just go straight into Buzzwole, absolutely tank it, and then pressure him at that point, because after the Ice Beam from Pex, he will be in range of Scarf Superpower, so that's massive news. It can break through Spadef Scarm quite easily. Fizdef Scarm could be a thing, but I think that Fizdef Sylveon makes a lot more sense, being able to resist both stabs. He could bring a defensive Arcanine, which is the other reason why I did have Earthquake, but actually Superpower does a little bit less than Earthquake, so it's not too much of a difference. Plus, after Rocks, it's pretty much just denting Arcanine, and the fact that I already have a Toxapex and a Seismitoad coming on the Arcanine, I'm not realistically that worried about it, but that's just me. Overall, this set is just really good. It's designed to outspeed Jolteon once it has its Choice Scarf on, so that's phenomenal. It just literally can rip through his team late game. It can get some really solid kills throughout, and that's pretty much it, guys. The major threats definitely on this team. SD Chomp can be scary, because obviously if it has the Z ground move, I could lose Shibata, and that's just bad news bears, because a lot of my team can get ripped apart then, so I gotta be really careful how I play around that. At the same time, though, like Fire Fang, if it is the Z move, could really hurt my Celesteela, so again, I just gotta be careful. I gotta play it smart, gotta play it careful, do the right plays. Other big threat that I've found in mocks is Zoroark. Zoroark is a massive problem for a lot of my team, mainly just because like knockoff spam is annoying. It really is, but at the same time, one thing I was using in the mocks that made a lot of advantage for me was the Alola Muck, the fact that it had Pursuit. So I could come in against Zoroark and most of the attacks I can take them just fine. Even if it is a knockoff and I lose my band, oh well, it's a risk I have to take at that point. And even if that happens, I go for the Pursuit. And what that means is that his Zoroark now has been weakened to the point where I can tell when it comes in, like, oh, that thing's lower than what it should be at that point. That's obviously a Zoroark and I can play around it at that point. So that's really, really nice for me to be able to have that kind of insight. Plus I have things like Pex that can take banded hits, Celesteela that can semi-take on the special set. Like, I have a lot of Spadef to take on the special set, but I also have Muck that can deal with Zoroark quite nicely. Yes, losing the band would suck with knockoff, but like I said, it's the risk you gotta take, boys. But I really like this team. I think it's really solid. I think the offense is definitely really nice. Celesteela plus Toxapex are a little bit passive, but they break his team really nicely. Celesteela's just... I've always been a bit iffy on Celesteela. I like it though because it obviously is my best way of stopping Garchomp EQ spam, and that's something I really, really like to do, so... I do like this team, guys. I think it's really solid. I was very iffy on the Muck, but I'm really happy with the banded set now. I really like the speed creeping too. The basic plan with this team, I think, looking at matchup, if I do see the Jolteon, I will most likely leave with Sceptile, because what I can do is just get off the Mega early against that thing, threaten it. Also the fact that if he's not Scarfed, I can just drop a Leaf Storm turn 1 and pretty much knock out Jolteon, which is massive. It's just also leading Muck is just so good against a lot of his team. There is not a lot that leads off that has the best matchup, especially if he leads off with, say, Sylveon or something. I can just go straight for the knockoff, weaken his Scarm to half straight away, and then proceed to go into my Seismitoad as he roosts, go for my rocks as he goes back out to Sylveon, double into like maybe Celesteela. Like, I have a lot of plays in mind. Don't know how they're all going to go, but I'm really excited for this game. You're about to see this game. I hope you guys do enjoy it. But yeah, enjoy it. There.
Alright guys, so here we are with the battle. This one happened at like, it wasn't really early in the morning for me, it was like 9, but I've been sleeping pretty shit lately, so I was a little bit tired heading into this one. No excuses though, as he's brought a very interesting team. No Scarm was huge. I really expected that to be there, but did not bring it, so what that means is that maybe the speed on Muck wasn't super duper necessary, but it also means that my Sceptile is more free to kind of run through his team. But he did bring the Zoroark, which obviously is a huge threat. He brought the Machamp, which I was a little bit surprised by. Like, I don't really know what Machamp did in this matchup, but like I feel like other mons could be easily taking the place, like, you know, Shaman or Gengar. I think could be much better there. He brought Mesprit, which I was pretty surprised by, but I'm guessing it was his Rocker. He's got a Garchomp, which I am still expecting to be either the Z move or just a Scarf set. And then he's got the Sylveon, which has to be because good defensive. If you look at my team, it has to be because of Buzzwole. And then he's got Jolteon. So really interesting. What I saw was that basically with Banded Muck, I could beat 5 out of his 6 leads. The only one that really didn't match up well against was Garchomp. So I kind of bit the bullet. I said, well, I've got to Celesteela in the back if I need to. I'm going to lead with the Muck and see what he wants to do. So we are going to kick things. I could have sworn I pressed play. We're going to kick things off, and he does lead with Chomp. Now, at this point, I was like, okay, this could be Zoroark. But at the same time, I'm especially defensive Celesteela, so I can take a hit from Zoroark as well. So this isn't too bad. So either way, whichever one it is, Celesteela's a pretty good switch into either. But he goes to a Nasty Plot. Now, Nasty Plot's a little bit scary. However, I did the calc for this, and a Life Orb Zoroark Flamethrower with Life Orb is a 50-50 chance to kill. If he's Expert Belt, it has no chance to kill. So going into this, I was like, okay, well, you know, I've got a good chance to live, and all I realistically needed was Heavy Slam damage. Like, this would have been great switching on Sylveon, but if this is his Zoroark, which obviously is his Zoroark, if I can weaken that thing and get rid of it, that is such a huge weight off my shoulders. The rest of my team can put in work. So I decide that at this point of the battle, it's better to sack off my Celesteela. Unfortunately for me, he is the Z move, and I'm like, well, cool. Alright. So goodbye Celesteela, but I do go into Buzzwole, and he makes an interesting play of sacking off his Zoroark. I guess in that situation for him, it was that point where he could have gone into Sylveon, but if I was not locked in, I could have just gone for the combination of like maybe like fighting me like a Hammer Arm or something. I don't know what he was doing there. He probably should have just gone Sylveon. It was pretty safe for him. Perhaps he was predicting the Leech Life and didn't want to go into Mesprit, but Sylveon seemed pretty safe, but for some reason he just decided to sack off his Zoroark, so I was like, okay, awesome, sweet. He's going to go to Mesprit. Obviously I'm not going to stay in. I do have a Muck, but because I have the Muck, I'm actually going to double into my Seismitoad as he goes into Garchomp, and that was really nice, because The reason I went into Seismitoad was because I actually expected the Mesprit to want to go for a U-turn, expected my Muck to want to trap it. So kind of both predicted each other there because he predicted the Muck to come and went into Garchomp. Now, RVD is inside, guys. Now, as you guys know, this frog is designed to absolutely blow through teams, and he didn't bring Blastoise, which is massive as well. Massive. I would have brought Blastoise over Machamp every day of the week, but he didn't bring it. And that means what I can just do this turn is go for my Rain. As he is going to go into his Machamp, my Rain is up, and this is an Assault Vest Machamp, and it's taking over half. It's doing a ton. He goes for CC, and I eat that up because I still have 200 HP investment. He's going to go into Sylveon, which is not a switch into Life Orb Seismitoad. This thing is just ripping through Ashton's team, and we get rid of Sylveon. Now, this was a massive moment. The fact that Sylveon was sacked, basically. Because Sylveon went down, if you look at my opponent's team, he now does not have a lot for Buzzwole. Buzzwole is now becoming a serious threat with a Scarf. If I can just get damage on Mesprit, then I'm pretty free to just click whatever move I want. Mesprit's like the only check left on his team, theoretically, to this Buzzwole as it stands. So that's putting me in a really good position. The other thing as well is that now that Sylveon's gone, it opens the door for Sceptile. Like, Iron Tail would have been nice to use, but regardless, I still have like good position to give a Sceptile. But I'm going to go for a Surf, and I'm going to get a crit. Now, the Surf was doing about 89% on a normal roll to Mesprit, and at that point, like, it sucked that I got the crit, but at the same time, I think, you know, without the crit, it sort of played out the same way. So, regardless of what Mesprit went for, clearly it wasn't Scarfed because I outsped it, and that meant the next turn, I would just still make the exact same play that I was going to on this turn, which is basically just going out to my Sceptile. And that would have killed off the Mesprit. I'm going to double out here. Now, the reason I doubled there, as it goes for Shadow Ball, was because I did the calc, and Sceptile's Leaf Storm does not actually kill Jolteon. And I figured he might go for the Hidden Power Ice, so I decided to go to Muck because I can go for a Banded Pursuit. But then I realized, okay, Banded Pursuit's great, but we've seen already that Zoroark had the Z move, which means I can get a free Banded knockoff off on something. It basically will kill the Machamp, it'll kill the Jolteon, and get off a good amount of damage on the Garchomp. So, as much as I wanted to Pursuit Trap and kill this Jolteon, I didn't want to then get reverse hurt by Garchomp, so I decided to go for the knockoff, just to ensure I can take care of that thing. As he is going to go into the Garchomp, and we are going to get another crit. Now, this one was annoying for sure for my opponent, because it turns out he actually had the wrong Garchomp spread that he wanted. He wanted a defensive spread that would have taken this a lot better. A lot better. The crit did suck. I feel like realistically what I just needed was damage with Muck though. At the point of the Banded knockoff, even to a fully defensive Garchomp, after that damage, Garchomp gets put into Ice Punch range from Buzzwole, and that's all I really needed at that point of the battle, was just putting this Garchomp into Ice Punch range, because there was no way he was going to pick Fire Blast against the Muck. It didn't make sense for him to do that, so I'm just going to go hard out to my Buzzwole as he goes for the EQ, and at this point it's game over, because my Buzzwole is Scarfed. I can just click EQ 3 times. And, yeah, that's pretty much gonna be it. Unfortunate. I also realized that I forgot that my Buzzwole doesn't outspeed Jolteon, so I was a little bit scared for HP flying, but he doesn't have it, so Buzzwole is able to pick up another 4 kills to its name. So in 5 weeks, Buzzwole is now 10-1 with kills, leading the kills, I believe, unless, I don't know how much Zydoge did for Mono this week, but we end up getting the 4-0 win there, and this now means, guys, we are the first team in the NPL Minors to clinch playoffs. We're currently 5-0 with a plus 18 differential. We have absolutely smashed this out, and now we are on the road to playoffs. Now, obviously, we still have 2 games left to go. We've got Toad next week and Mono in our last regular season game. So, obviously, not going to be easy games by any stretch of the imagination, but for now, things are looking really good for Tempe Frogadiers. We have just been performing a lot better than I expected us to perform. Kind of showing, I guess, why we didn't need to do the tryout. Maybe, I don't know, but I've been really happy with how the team's been going. And honestly, the sky's the limit from here. Great game to Eric. You know, he got a bit unfortunate with a bit of the hacks, but I really think that the only thing the hacks would have mattered for, I think, was differential, and at that point, differential didn't really matter too much to me. At the end of the day, I was just there for the win. If I got the win, I made playoffs, and that was the most important thing for me. I've never really been a big differential has never really been a big thing for me anyway. So, GG there to Eric. Go check out his channel, guys. He does some great content over there. But that is going to do it for this video. We now go to, like I said, 5-0, plus 18 differential, Clinch Star playoffs. 2 games left to go. Next week is the Red Main Oysters. Should be a really good game. I'm just absolutely psyched that I was able to get to playoffs. Obviously, the job is not done from here. I have to play my last 2 weeks out, smash those out, hopefully go 7-0. Undefeated in the regular season would be amazing, and if I do that, then it puts me in a really good spot to, dominate playoffs as well. So hopefully that happens. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, like this video, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. That's going to do it for me. Thanks guys for watching. I'm TheVerd. I'm out this bitch.